Good morning, class. Today we're going to be learning about Dialga inside Master League. So grab a seat and get ready for notes because it's time for a lesson. Just a quick reminder, if you want a better grade in class, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Uh, Also, if you want to see what I do a few days in advance, check me out on twitch.tv/Super Science Sensei. I hope to see you guys there. Today, guys, we are going to be learning about what I would consider the most oppressive mon in all of Master League, Dialga. Dialga is the scariest mon in all of Master League. Let's take a deep dive on what makes him so amazing, what makes Dialga the best mon, arguably, in all of Master League. Now, if we look inside this list here, and we look at Master League, you notice that you guys don't see Dialga, you guys don't see Dialga. Dialga's drops all the way down here. Sometimes you'll see him inside like lower spots, sometimes you see him in higher spots, but very rarely do you see him at number 1. Don't worry about the rankings. Trust me when I say Dialga is the strongest mon inside all of Master League. Okay, the archetype of Dialga. So remember when we were talking about Azumarill back inside Azumarill for Great League? We called Azumarill, its nickname was the Dialga of Great League. Well, for Dialga, we're gonna call it the no, not Azumarill of Master League. We're gonna call it the Dialga of Master League because that's how good Dialga is. Okay, this is how oppressive it is. It doesn't even need a nickname. It's just a freaking Dialga of Master League. Okay? That's how good it is. It's just too strong. It's just too good. Dialga's amazing. It's crazy. Like I cannot sing its praises. Now let's look at the moves. So the moves for Dialga is unique in that as long as you're running Dragon Breath, it doesn't matter. You kind of want an Iron Head so that you have something to spam and bait shields with. But the big nuke move, both Draco Meteor and Thunder have play. So for the moves, the main important thing that matters is having Dragon Breath, and then later Iron Head, and then later pick one. Pick your poison. For me personally, I like Draco Meteor because Draco Meteor blows up almost everything. Even things that resist Draco Meteor die to Draco Meteor. Um, so like just so you guys understand, if you guys look at like the hardest counters to Dialga right here, so Melmetal's up there, Groudon's up there. So let's look at Groudon, who's considered to be rank 1. Right? If you look at the Draco Meteor damage on a Groudon, you hover over that. That's 80.9% of its life bar. That means if you burn something down with Dialga. You just hit the ground with a few Dragon Breaths, bam! Draco Meteor, Dialga's gone. Right? Dialga's Draco Meteor is ridiculously powerful. It one-shots most things inside the meta, and it's a scary move regardless of whether or not you resist it. Okay? It's actually insane how ridiculous Dialga's moveset is. Iron Head, really good for coverage because it takes out Togekiss. Really good for just doing neutral stab damage on most things due to the fact that it's steel typing and can chunk things with raw damage. Right? Lowish. I mean, it's not the lowest energy. I mean, it's still a 50 energy move, but considering that Dialga is so powerful in the first place, it complements it well enough. We're just happy Dialga doesn't have Dragon Claw, because if Dialga had Dragon Claw, people would cry. No one would ever use anything but Dialga, and everyone already always uses Dialga. Okay? The role for Dialga, when we look inside these rankings, you notice that lead, pretty solid. Closer, really solid. Switch, they mark him down as relatively low, but that seems a little bit off, because if we use Dialga's actually pretty good. Most people actually use Dialga as a safe swap, myself included. Um, and Dialga can chunk out anything that counters it. That's what makes Dialga so powerful. So let me see this real quick. Roll anything. Okay, you could be a lead, you could be a closer, you could be a swap. The rankings may not fully agree with that, but in practice, Dialga can be whatever the heck Dialga wants to be. Due to its unique moves, due to its very strong stats, and due to its unique typing, right? Dialga is one of the few dragons that don't instantly lose to Togekiss. Now, Togekiss, in a one shield scenario, Togekiss loses to Dialga due to the fact that Iron Head hits for super effective and will crush the Togekiss, and also because of its steel typing, it's only taking neutral damage from the charm, unlike every single other dragon. The only other dragon that does even close to as well as Dialga against Togekiss is Giratina Altered, which you guys can check out my Giratina Altered video there. But every other dragon gets decimated by Togekiss. Dialga forces Togekiss to use both shields to win, and without two shields, that is a dead charming bird. Okay, so that is why Dialga, amazing typing, amazing stats, and amazing in every slot. Okay, if you look at the things that can beat it, Mewtwo technically can beat it, but if you look at the matchup, it's a very. This is assuming you land Focus Blast. If you go straight Side Strike, Mewtwo will still win, but it is going to be a one-turn differential, meaning if you get one extra Dragon Breath off, the Mewtwo loses. Okay, because you'll get to that second Iron Head and you'll force it down. If you're willing to expend both shields on Dialga, you'll notice that Dialga with two shields will never, ever, ever lose to Mewtwo. So as long as you don't get hit by the Focus Blast and you're willing to use both shields, you can take out Mewtwo. Um, Groudon, like I said before, you can Draco Meteor that sucker. Melmetal, because it needs superpower to kill you, is going to put itself inside a very sticky situation, and a lot of times you can cripple, or if they get greedy, even kill the Melmetal with your Dialga, and that's the hardest counter. Rhyperior needs to shield the Iron Head, and if you get enough turns in advance, with enough energy beforehand, you can throw two Iron Heads, and the Rhyperior cannot survive those either. Metagross also does pretty okay, but once again, doesn't want to take a Draco Meteor, and the moves from Dialga in general are just very, very, very painful. Dialga is the god of time, and I guess time is another word for Master League because it is the god of Master League. It can do almost anything. It's great as a swap, it's great as a lead, it's great as a closer, it's really, really good damage. It can crush faces in. Dialga, amazing. Does whatever the heck you want. Strongest mon inside Master League. Everyone builds their team either having Dialga or builds their team um, to three mon counter Dialga. That's how strong Dialga is. That's how relevant it is. And you play the higher MMRs, Dialga is always there. Now, considering how strong Dialga is, um, as far as substitutions go, um, there's a few substitutions, but they're never going to be as good as Dialga, though there are sometimes situations where they can be. Now, one substitution, if you have no legendary mons, you want a really strong Dragon Breather, and you want a Dragon Breather that can take out every single dragon except for Dialga and Dragon Breath Giratina, you can use Dragonite. My Dragonite, before I had a Dialga that I got from before I got from the Go Fest Dialga, I had a Dragonite, and my Dragonite's nickname is PM Dialga because it is the poor man's Dialga. It can do a lot of work, and you can even use Dragonite or Dialga to bait out the dragon counters, and hopefully the other one can carry through. But Dragonite is really, really the weaker mon there. It has really strong Dragon Breath damage. It beats every single other Dragon Breather except for Giratina when it has Dragon Breath. But if Giratina is using Shadow Claw, the Dragonite will win. As far as a safe swap, a mon that does really well as a safe swap, as I've told you before, if you're using Dialga as a safe swap, you can use any safe swap you want. Granted, they don't all work the same. Dialga can kind of do work against most things, but Groudon gets hard wall by Dragonite. Dialga does pretty well against most things, but it's more bulkier than the Mewtwo. Dialga does well against most things and other dragons, while Giratina Altered will still lose to other dragons if it's not packing Dragon Breath. So safe swaps, Dragonite are pretty good. Like they're okay substitutions for Dialga, but nothing really can replace the King. Okay, now matchups. We already talked about it before, but basically, Dialga, what makes it unique is due to its steel typing, it beats other dragons, right? Depending on shield situations, it can beat the counters too, right? So the thing about Dialga, the only issue that you might run into is when you run into a Rhyperior or Excadrill or even a Groudon, they can Rhyperior and Excadrill can farm you down with Mud Slap because it's a very strong move and will chunk you out. But they will have to expend a shield if they don't want to lose their Mon. That's how strong Dialga is. So if they have no shields, they will lose. Um, Dragons will also lose to Dialga unless they get to their big boy move, but instead of even chilling scenario, Dialga wins due to the neutral damage it takes from shields. Dialga, inside many situations, is going to win against almost everything. Even against its counters, it has the opportunity to either crush it with enough shields or just blow a hole through them because they don't have the shields up. So Dialga is insane. That's the reason why Dialga is so powerful. That's the reason why Dialga is scary. Now, even though I say all that, technically there are counters because there are, things will generally considered. There will be few things that are generally considered to beat it. The reason why Melmetal is such a popular mon is because Melmetal can counter Dialga. It's arguably the best one. There's also Groudon, or no, I'm just going to ground types because Excadrill and Rhyperior can also do it as well. And even Heatran can be a counter as well, even though he's not very common. Okay. Uh, Togekiss, Togekiss can technically be considered a counter as well if you're willing to use two shields, but even then, I wouldn't really consider it a hard counter by any means. Okay. Um, so let's go over Dialga once again and why it is insanely busted. Archetype, it's the Dialga. Moves: Dragon Breath, Iron Head, pick one other move. Roll, it can do whatever you want. Substitutions, you want Dragonite, other safe swaps. Matchups, it can be dragons, it can be counters. And it's really hard to play against. Now, one real big thing though about Dialga, and this is probably one of the most important things to know about Dialga, is the IVs for Dialga. Now, when you guys are going to look at Dialga, some people have, how we talk about breakpoints and everything, right? Dialga, to be as efficient and as strong as possible, you want it to be a best buddy and you want it to be a hundo. Or at very minimum, 15 attack, 15 defense. Now, some people may argue that the 15 defense doesn't matter, but it does, and I'll show you in which scenarios it does. One of the most important matchups that Dialga needs Best Buddy for is against other Dialga. That's right, Dialga's so scary, other Dialga need to be scared of Dialga. Now, just so you guys look at the situation, when we go against a Dialga, right, and it is not Best Buddied, so this is a Best Buddy Hundo, this is just a regular Hundo. In the one shield scenario, the Best Buddy is going to win by 37 HP. That's because you take 1 damage less per Dragon Breath. Instead of 4 damage, you're going to do 5 to them. They're only going to do 4 to you. And since it takes it takes that many Dragon Breaths, you are going to take less damage. You'll win by about a fifth of your life, and you can do work with that. Okay? Now, if you have a 15 attack Dialga though, and you fight against a perfect Dialga, right? So let's say 15, 14, 15 like this, it's going to be a simultaneous loss. So you're like, besides that, you just told me the defense matters. And the reason why the defense matters is because if you face a 14 attack Dialga, right? You look how close the fight gets. It gets down to 3 HP, i.e. i.e. CMP, right? But the main issue is you don't get that 30 something HP. If this was a hundo with 15 defense, right? You can win with 37 HP. That's the reason why we need that last point of defense. You need 15 attack to have the damage breakpoint. You need 15 defense for anything that doesn't have the damage breakpoint. So 15 attack for the max damage, 15 defense so you don't lose to the ones that you don't tie or make it close to the ones that are slightly off, right? Because that could be a difference by HP and IVs. Okay, so the Dialga you want to have a 15, 15, and 14 or above. I mean, 13 works, 12 works even. 11 gets a little dicey because you might lose by a Dragon Breath here every once in a while, but that's why 15 attack is so important. That's why 15 defense is so important. Okay, so the moral of the story: Dragonite, nah, screw Dragonite. Dialga is so busted that the scariest thing to Dialga and the biggest thing Dialga has to worry about is other Dialgas. Okay, that's how strong Dialga is. That's why Dialga is the strongest Mon in Master League. That's why Dialga is probably the strongest Mon in its league compared to any other mon in the game. That's how strong and busted Dialga is. Dialga is a great mon to have, a scary mon to fight against, and a very threatening mon if you don't have one of your own. Try to get your lucky trades with your friends that have them. If it ever comes back in raids, raid the crud out of it. Get that Functo or above. Make sure you have 15 attack, 15 defense, and try your best because Dialga is just too powerful not to have. Okay? Now, I know you guys have some other classes to attend, so with that, I hope to see you guys next time. Class is dismissed. Take care.